Hey, I'm just following orders. Let me get one of those slow motion pictures, bro. One of the slow motion pictures.
You gotta shoot at 60 frames per second.
Come on,
They say they wanna hit that raw shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coach shit. Cause if they make the wrong move and coach shit. You see me, they like, ooh, keep on stopping. I'm on my way up and they ain't gon' stop it. They say they wanna hit that raw shit. Coming up, I'm about to bullshit. They see me, they like, ooh, keep on stopping. I'm on my body, real niggas right beside me. Damn right, I brought my army, going up like a rocket, and can't nobody stop me. These niggas garbage, so watch your mouth, boy. Coming all black, slithering house, call me mouth, boy. I'm off the hip like a cowboy. I'm a king, you should bow, boy. Shorty like, damn, man, you cut up. Nothing I can handle. 144 in the booth, going Rambo. Niggas do you dirty like a stick in a bando. That's why I play the corner like a bum with a banjo. I'ma lead by example. Ooh, keep on stopping, got this bitch off the hand. Got this juice, got the drip, about to hit the bitch with the salt. It ain't rap, it's assault. Can't taste a bitch unless you with the coke. They say they wanna hit that raw shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coach shit. Cause if they make the wrong move and coach shit. Hey! One West! One West! One West! One West! One West! Coming up on my bullshit.
I do it how a veteran be. You better than me. I'm Reggie at the edge of the key. It's all money, no honey. Think you settling? See, you locked up, fucked up, and it's back to the streets. It's One West. You can check the residency. I reside with soldiers died on the soles of their feet. Cause it's death before designer. Ain't no coward in me. Cause I'm cold as a bitch's shoulder. You ain't calling a week. Get the cooking on this beat. Hope you like it well done. Got them killers rolling with me and they all red rum, red rum, red rum. Got you fuckers scared some. Get the banging on this beat till my fucking head numb. Black Glock, red drum, black and yellow Air Ones. Homie, you ain't got a vest. I suggest you wear one.
Told these niggas we was going up. They was doing a lot of talking. Now these niggas ain't saying shit.
Feeling like a legend in this shit, lil nigga, I'm past veteran. Never feeling third, lil nigga, I'm past second. Guns, I gotta have them all like Ash Ketchum. Shotty break a nigga ribs up like his wife left him. We all steppin', kill you with kindness cause I'm dead nice. That 5'7" put you 6 feet, not talking height. That judge giving out 5, but you doing life. These hands are rude GPS, a mean right. That's mean right, we build different, you know the vibe. And we stamped it authentic, we notarized. I keep a 144 because I know a kind. Noah's Ark, you know I'm with animals when we flowing by. We back again, no cap, when I'm with Cap again. Yeah, they say they want smoke until we matching them. Everything righteous, so you know when we get back at them, you get hit up with a K, but no acronym.
They say they wanna hit that raw shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coach shit. Cause if they make the wrong move and coach shit. You see me, they like, ooh, keep on stopping. I'm on my way up and they ain't gon' stop it. They say they wanna hit that raw shit. Coming up on my bullshit.
West till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me. I be One West to the death till they bury me. One West till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me. I'm One West till they bury me. I be One West to the death till they bury me. I be One West to the death till they.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. This is Let the Hebrew Speak under Commander General YAHANNA. All right. Today we're gonna go into the plagues of Egypt, and how the Lord destroyed Egypt, just like he destroyed America. Basically, it's the same plagues. All right. A lot of times we get to the Passover and we really don't go into, well, put it this way, we don't really remind ourselves of the plagues. And according to the works of Josephus, he goes into a little bit more detail, which is more of a oral history that he wrote down. Now, Josephus is not a prophet, but he was a historian. All right. So we're going to go into, hey, Marah, I can't even hear Marah, huh?
Once he comes in on the stream, you'll be able to hear him. He ain't get on. He might be still grabbing his charger.
Okay.
We're going.
All right. We can start. Okay. Let's start with this. 17.
I can grab another scroll too in a second.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go, you go ahead and read it.
We had the book of Exodus chapter 7 verse 17. Thus saith the Lord, in this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood.
Right. These were different gods. The reason why he was smiting the blood, not only that they couldn't drink the water, but he also was destroying the gods of Egypt. He was plaguing Egypt, but each god signified some sort of either animal, the water, or the sky, or the air. So it's different. If it's different gods. All right. Now we're gonna go into Josephus.
Chapter 14.
Yeah.
This is Antiquities of the Jews, page 61, chapter 14. But when the king despised the words of Moses and had no regard at all to them, grievous plagues seized the Egyptians.
Right. Go ahead.
Every one of which I will describe, both because no such plagues did ever happen to any other nation as the Egyptians now felt. And because I would demonstrate that Moses did not fail in any one thing that he foretold them, and because it is for the good of mankind, that they may learn this caution, not to do anything that may displease God, lest he be provoked to wrath and avenge their iniquities upon them. For the Egyptian river ran with bloody water at the command of God.
Right. Those gods, it was the gods that the Egyptians were worshiping. And one of the gods was Kunan or Kunem. And the other god was Happy. It's just Hapi. Those was the gods, several gods of the Nile and of the water. God cursed them, cursed the water, and was cursing the gods at the same time. All right, read on.
Wakan, sir. In the
Wakan.
In so much that it cannot be drunk, and they had no other spring of water neither, for the water was not only of the color of blood, but it brought upon these that ventured to drink of it great pains and bitter torments.
Right. So when the Egyptians drank from it, it caused great pains. You know what I mean? Read on. This is what you don't hear of the oral history. Read on.
It says, such was the river to the Egyptians, but it was sweet and fit for drinking to the Hebrews.
Right. You got to understand, the Lord was cursing their water and their God, but to the Hebrew Israelites, they was able to drink that water and not get sick. It was sweet. Read on.
And fit for drinking to the Hebrews.
And it was fit to drink for the Hebrews.
And no way different from it naturally used to be.
Right. Now it's the same water. If they drink it, they get sick. If we drink it, we wasn't getting sick.
That's heavy.
Go ahead.
As the king therefore knew not what to do in these surprising circumstances, and was in fear for the Egyptians, he gave the Hebrews leave to go away. But when the plague ceased, he changed his mind again and would not suffer them to go.
Right. Go ahead. The next one. What's the next one?
Right here, sir. But when God saw, but when God saw that he was ungrateful, and upon the ceasing of this calamity would not grow wiser, he sent another plague upon the Egyptians, an innumerable multitude of frogs consumed the fruit of the ground.
Right. Those frogs, which was a god also. I wish, see if how you know if Mariah on.
I'll give him
Yeah. Because I need him to do the pictures. Anyway, those frogs, the Egyptians had a frog, a god that had a frog head that they would worship. So that's why the Lord is bringing them. He's bringing these frogs up. Since you worship them, I'm going to bring some frogs upon them. And the Hebrews are seeing it. And they starting to wake up and they starting to want to turn around back to the Most High. Yeah. You know what I mean? They starting to listen to Moses because they was going back and forth with Moses in the beginning. They was like, yo, you came here and what you did, you said you was going to free us. And now they done, made our work harder and they oppressing us more. So now the Hebrews, they starting to believe what Moses is saying, that God is doing it. They saw those frogs. All right.
I ain't get them online just yet, sir.
Okay, no sweat.
Go ahead and continue reading.
Yeah.
And the innumerable multitude of frogs consumed the fruit of the ground. The river was also full of them, and so much that those who drew water had it spoiled by the blood of these animals, and they died and were destroyed by. And they died and were destroyed by the water, and the country was full of filthy slime, as they were born and as they died.
Now you got to think about this. You got to put yourself in Egypt when you start to read this book about these plagues. You in, let's say, America, and all these frogs come in every white person's home. They in their car, they in their trunk. You know what I mean? They in their basement, they in their bedroom, they on the job. You couldn't do anything. He shut Egypt down. Go ahead, brother.
Salagi, if I could, where it says as they were born and as they died, like is that saying like born in the sense of like even in the hospital, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like whatever it was, they little hospital pharmacy, it wasn't even safe in there to even have a clean pregnancy or a clean birth type of thing.
Right. It wasn't nothing. You couldn't do anything.
Yeah, that's rough. That's a rough one.
You think about that. You know what I mean?
Good night.
That's like the COVID.
What's the name?
You ain't want to go into COVID.
Yeah, kind of
you know what I mean? COVID-19 hit. You ain't want to go in no hospital. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yep, Kawakan. You so right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The Lord is plaguing America just like he played Egypt. America gonna get his just dues. All we got to do is work on ourselves. All we got to do is get ourselves right. And that's what the Lord wants. That's why in the book of Revelations, it says the bride may have made herself ready for the bridegroom. Our job is, and who we are, we're the bride. Yeah. You know what I mean? We supposed to be ready to marry the bridegroom, which is the Most High Son. And in order for us to do that, we got to start coming back to the Most High. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we got to come out of Babylon.
That's work.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's why they got them plagues over there in California, all over on the West Coast, them fires. Yeah. The Lord is plaguing the earth. He flooding the Midwest. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The East Coast might start getting all the monkeypox. Mm-hmm. You know? Go ahead.
Salagi too, if I could say, with the way that the Lord is plaguing America and plaguing the whole entire world, like I hear my rib and I hear a lot of people in the world ask these questions at the slavery, like, is the monkeypox, is it contagious? Is it this? The vaccine for the monkeypox is this: don't be homosexual.
Right.
That's the vaccine. That's the vaccine right there. That's
right.
The only vaccine you gotta take.
Right.
But they asking these questions, and I hear it a lot on the streams, on all the social media platforms, at the slaveries, my rib. Right. Everybody asking, like, how do we not get this thing? They asked it with COVID. They're asking it with the monkeypox, and right. That type of thing where like black people starting to realize how much they really need the Lord. When you can get something and not know you have it, right? Like that's a rough deal. There's COVID people that can get COVID without knowing that.
Right, exactly. And it's heavy how you say that, because you got these herb nuts talking about that they can use herbs to get rid of the monkeypox. You know what I mean? Like they was believing that they believe that they could.
Herbs.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, but we was replying back like, the only way that you don't have to get it, the only thing that's going to heal you is come out the wickedness. Stop being a homosexual.
Salagi too. Can I pull a precept on that, sir?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I could. It's in the book of Wisdom of Solomon. All right. Officer Morale just told me to bring them in too, so I got to figure out. It probably showing up on the screen.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring them just a second. Right. So about like what you was just saying about the herbs.
Right.
And like that's like them people thinking that them herbs is what's gonna stop them from getting monkeypox, and that's what's gonna heal them. The Bible would say different. I mean, Wisdom of Solomon 16:12, for it says, "For it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster that restored them to health, but thy word, O Lord, which healed all things, which healeth all things."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I said that to say, you know, it wasn't no herbs. Brothers and sisters that think that it's herbs that's gonna heal they thing. That's not what, you know, the Bible says is different. It's the word of the Lord which healed. The word of the Lord is you can't be homosexual. You don't want to get monkeypox.
Right. That's right. That's right. Right. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's right. You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing about these plagues. America is going down slowly but surely, but we don't never visualize what was going on in Egypt, man. Can you imagine? You got frogs all over the place.
Officer Mariah, you can hear us?
Con, I can hear you. If you could pick the other the other screen with the two boxes, that'd be a perfect one. I don't know if you can hear me.
One more time, sir?
If you can pick the other screen that has two boxes, that's the perfect
that one right
screen.
there?
There you go. Yeah. The water.
Okay, calm down, sir.
Shalom, sir. Y'all about Shemel Shabbat.
Hey, shalom. Hey, Marah.
Call him a con.
Hey, yo, can you put in your can you post one of the gods, some of the gods of Egypt? It's Heket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Heket.
Heket. I'm trying to see if I can do that now, sir. I'm not sure if it's gonna let me.
But normally I would have to plug it up over here because that laptop don't stretch over here. I would have to have the laptop right there. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Marah, give us.
Pull it up right quick.
Yeah.
You want me to?
Yeah, but okay.
Let me do that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is right here, right?
Yeah.
All right. H-E-K-E-T.
Yep.
With the frog head?
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah.
Good night. I got one that look a little bit more let me see. Hold on. Open the side. We blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a lot of different cartoon ones, but you know the ones that be looking like it's encrypted on the thing.
Yeah, I like the ones that was on the wall, but
yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yep.
Okay.
Let me add.
Just trying to give y'all a visual of these gods that they was worshiping, and they all on the walls of Egypt, aka Kemet. You know, that's one of the gods, and the Lord was destroying Egypt's gods.
That's the one I put up
by bringing them forth from out the earth.
That's
okay,
the one I put up.
No sweat. You know what I mean? All right. Go ahead and continue to read.
Right here.
Right.
Okay, Carnival Council. The river was Salagi. The river was also full of them, in so much that those who drew water had it spoiled by the blood of these animals, and as they died in and were destroyed by the water. And the country was full of filthy slime as they were born and as they died. They also spoiled their vessels and their houses, which they used, and were found. Salagi.
Go ahead. No, keep reading.
And were found among what they ate and what they drank.
Right. Meaning you go open up a jar and there's frogs in the jar.
That's a nasty bit.
You know what I mean? You got a jar of grain and there's frogs in there with the slime.
Yikes.
Like the Lord was tearing them up. Like we don't look at it when we go to the Passover and we celebrate it. But you got to realize what happened before the Passover to bring us up to the Passover and what the Lord did by himself.
Yeah.
That's why the Passover is so important. Can you imagine you open up a box of cereal and you got frogs inside? You like, what the hell? You go in the refrigerator, you got frogs all in the refrigerator.
Good night.
You go put your shoes on, there's frogs in your shoes. This is what he was doing in Egypt. Go ahead.
Khan. And came in great numbers upon their beds. There was also
meaning this. In order for you, When you woke up, they was all around you.
Mm.
You try to get them off the bed, and they still in your bed. They still hopping on your bed.
They couldn't get no Hamite tail without frog tail.
They could.
They couldn't do it without the frog tail.
God. You know what I mean? Like it was hell. So Lord, when He plague you, you in hell. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
There was also an ungrateful smell, and a stink arose from them as they were born and as they died therein.
Right. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? That's also them giving birth. And then they dying and it's slime. And so you got the death of the frogs and the birth of the frogs and the slime. And that smell is all throughout Egypt.
I always used to wonder why Hamite smell like that. Like it's such a peculiar smell. Like when the African has been on aisle 3.
Yeah,
you'll know it. Like as soon as you go down aisle 3,
they right. They they hold the odor.
Yikes.
You know what I mean?
Go
ahead, read on.
Sir. Now, when the Egyptians were under the oppression of these miseries, the king ordered Moses to take the Hebrews with him and be gone.
Yeah. So now he telling Moses, yeah, be gone with him.
Right.
Go ahead, read on.
Upon which the whole multitude of the frogs vanished away, and both the land and the river returned to their former natures.
Right. And because in this book earlier, the Egyptians was able to do some of the whatever you want to, they call it magic. But they was able to do certain things, but they couldn't take it away. And that just showed that it was the Lord. They thought it was their magic doing the same thing Moses was doing, but it wasn't. It was all of the Most High. And He proved it by Moses saying, well, let them take it away, and they couldn't take it away.
It's a lot of it too, sir. I read a book before that actually had spoke on the so-called what was looked at as magic, what they did.
Right.
It's kind of like with the Haitians and what people do with voodoo, where they think it's like magic, but it's really just some medicines.
Right.
And the same thing with America. Like they try to come out with some things to stop COVID. They tried to come out with some things to stop these plagues.
Right.
But they
couldn't.
Yeah, I mean,
and they had to go back to Pharaoh.
Kind of what cancer. Shalom says. Yeah, man. But now that was heavy too. That was absolutely heavy.
Keep reading.
Kind of what both as soon as Pharaoh saw the land freed from this plague, he forgot the cause of it and retained the Hebrews. And as though he had a mind to try the nature of more such judgments, he would not yet suffer Moses and his people to depart, having granted that liberty rather out of fear than any good consideration. Accordingly, God punished his falseness with another plague, added to the former. For there arose out of the bodies of the Egyptians an innumerable quantity of lice, by which wicked as they were.
Right. So he brought forth these lice. Now, if he brought forth the frogs, and the frogs brought, like, you got to put yourself in Egypt. And let's say, for instance, that you in America, and the Lord bring lice, not on the Israelites, but He bring lice. Meaning you show up for work and the white man in his office like this.
That's a rough day.
He's scratching. Because lice gets up in your arms and in your pubic hairs. And all over your body and your clothes. Like they in Egypt, the Egyptians is in Egypt doing this.
That's a rough one.
Scratching. Because that's what lice do to a person. It make them scratch. It irritates them.
Yikes.
Read on.
Kind of what cancer.
Can you imagine you talking to your boss? He's like, yo, listen, you take the next 3 days off.
Take some time.
I don't know what's going on. Everybody in the office is scratching.
Take some time for yourself.
You're right. Take some time. Oh yeah, you getting paid for this. Don't even worry about it. Like we read it, but we not visualizing what's going on.
God,
like what's really going on at that time. They scratching, and all of them are scratching throughout Egypt. But the Hebrews was like, "Will you look at this?" And yo, they probably like they backing up.
See, Salaga.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just made me just thinking about it. Salaga. It's so crazy too what you're saying, because America's so wicked, and it's definitely make them the beast that the Bible speaks of, the most wicked, because the Egyptians, at least, they noticing that something ain't right here.
Yeah.
America, they'll do any and everything they can to make you not think that it's coming from the Lord.
Right, because they the most proud.
Kind of a concept.
Pharaoh was proud, but Esau, the Edomites, is most proud.
Ooh-wee.
You know what I mean?
Kind of a concept.
So that made me itch a little bit.
Yeah, my real started to itch.
Yeah, but that, you know what I mean? But that, like, can you imagine a whole nation of people scratching for a couple of days? Like, it wasn't a couple of hours. They was the frogs. That was a couple of, for days.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So his counselors was like, "Yo, you got they probably Pharaoh. You need to."
He took off the hat. He took off.
Do you know?
He took off the hat.
Do you know that is why they shave their hair?
No.
Yes.
Bingo. That's definitely one for the stream.
Yes.
That's definitely one for. I did not know that.
Yes.
That's a TikTok right there.
The Egyptians are clean shaven, and they wore wigs
because of
the hygiene of the lice.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And today you got them Kemet dudes and conscious cats looking like a bald-headed Egyptian. You know what I mean? Like, that's disgusting. Let your hair grow on your damn face.
Salaki said they might have had lice.
They might have. But they keep them bald heads like, but they don't understand that the Egyptians, they wore weaves and all that. Yeah, they was clean shaven.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
So in other words, sir, them hats wasn't nothing godlike. Them weaves was another godlike. That was them not being able to get a full bun with their hair anymore. Right. They done scratched it out with the lice. So all of the dog heads and all of the little wigs, the hats, that wasn't style. That was to protect them spots on their head.
Yeah, because they was
good night
because of the lice. And if you're trying to get rid of lice, you're trying to get rid of all your hair. And that's why they so clean. And then they would put the fake little strap of fake beard and all that. They didn't care for hair. So, and I'm gonna tell you another thing.
That's crazy.
Just like the Romans, the Egyptians looked at us like we was, like they had like a disdain for us because we also, while we was in Egypt, it was Israelites that believed in one God. And they disagreed with that. You know what I mean? They totally disagreed with it. And the Romans disagreed with it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's why all through the Bible, you hear hear people, the heathens saying, these people are like no other people. Mm-hmm. Because everybody had many gods. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's what they didn't like about us.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm going to switch the screen back.
Go ahead, brother. All right. So
I think also Mariah accidentally dropped out.
No sweat. We can leave him. It's cool. It's cool.
It's a lot of it too. If I could, sir, with the fake wigs and the beards you was talking about,
right?
Like that's the same thing. I know America mapped themselves after Egypt. That's the same thing that the wig party and them did with the wigs and the fake with the fake.
Yeah, right.
That's the same thing they did.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They probably had lights too.
Wow. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. Read a little bit more. Nah, don't worry about it. Let him just tell me to go ahead out.
Okay.
And we'll just clear it up with this. You know,
Come.
The water.
No sweat, sir. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah.
Okay. At which terrible judgment the king of Egypt was in disorder upon the fear into which he reasoned himself, lest his people should be destroyed, and that the manner of this death was also reproachful, so that he was forced in part to recover.
Meaning they was dying from these lice. Mm-hmm. And he was saying it's a shameful death. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That lice taking us out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
That lice make me. It's a lot, sir. You know
No
what I mean?
sweat, no sweat.
So that he was forced in part to recover himself from his wicked temper to a sounder mind. For he gave leave for the Hebrews themselves to depart.
In other words, he tried to come to his damn senses. That's a sounder mind. All right. Real.
But when the plague thereupon ceased, he thought it proper to require that they should leave their children and wives behind them as pledges of their return, whereby he provoked God to be more vehemently angry at him, as if he thought to impose on his providence, and as if it were only Moses and not God who punished the Egyptians for the sake of the Hebrews.
Right. He, instead of respecting the Most High, he blamed Moses. He's saying that Moses did this. You know what I mean? He thinking Moses doing some sort of magic trick or have some sort of power. And in the scriptures, he did tell Moses that Pharaoh gonna look at you like you're God. That's in the book of Exodus. Go ahead.
For he filled that country, for he filled that country full of various sorts of pestilential creatures with their various properties, such indeed as had never come into the sight of men before, but whose means the men perished themselves.
Right. It's not in the Bible, but he recorded that they was dying because of these plagues. Go ahead.
Sir. And the land was destitute of husbandmen for its cultivation. But if anything escaped destruction from them, it was killed by a distemper which the men underwent also.
Right. They was dying.
Yeah.
That means their fields wasn't being attended to. You know what I mean? Because the Egyptians was dying because of these plagues. Just like COVID-19. COVID-19 is killing, it was killing us, but it was killing white people too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the Lord is just slowly killing us. There's people dying in them fires, homes being destroyed, them grapevines that they got out of California, slowing up the wine industry.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Sir.
So go ahead, brother. And the floods in the Midwest, in Missouri.
Yep.
That's destroying the homes. Then when you get back in the home, the mildew, the tornadoes is ripping up. And matter of fact, me and you was talking about at the White House.
Oh yeah, yep.
You know what I mean? You guys go into it. You go with your
man, Captain Shock. You know what I mean? He had brought out a post that 2 days ago. Yeah, if y'all notice around the world, man, that them thunderstorms been getting real crazy lately. You know what I'm saying? The news may not show them because America is known for its what they call it, propaganda.
Right.
But it's the thunderstorms and they've been real crazy lately. So 2 days ago at the White House in the nation's capital,
they've been killing people. That's what he's telling you.
Listen, Putin couldn't touch the White House. Kim Jong-un, fat boy, couldn't touch the White House. But the Lord, in one night, in one storm, he had it was a recording historical event to where 6 lightning prongs strike down at the same time, at the same place, at the White House, striking 4 people, killing 3 of them. And eyewitnesses say that these lightning strikes look like a hand coming down from the sky.
Right.
That's what they said it looked like. Yep, concert, just like that.
And hitting 4 people.
And hit 4 people all at the White House.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un and Putin was jealous. They was like, that. I couldn't even do that.
They couldn't
develop a missile for that. You know what I mean? But, the Lord ain't need no satellite, no missile detection, no space to test it out. He did his testing right there at the White House and just said, okay. It's just easy. I see they ain't got no force. They got a space force, but they ain't got nothing, no dome to cover the White House.
Nah, they can't. They can't protect it from the Most High.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So the Lord got them out the way.
Right. They talk about global warming. The Lord is warming up.
Yeah,
that's really who warming up.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's heavy.
The ancients of days did sit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? As he cast these thrones down, man, we gotta, do what we gotta do to come back to the Lord and stay focused. We gotta fight. We got to come out of these plagues of America.
Yeah.
Come out of Babylon.
That's what.
You know what I mean? To escape these plagues.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't even mess around with lightning. You know what I mean? I know an old guy that said he got hit twice. And I was like, yo, listen, you need to get away from me, brother. This is when I was in the world. This is when I was in the world. You know what I mean? But you know, I was in the world. I was like, you need to get away from me because it was starting to rain. But
you messing up my energy.
Like, nah. I said he got too much energy. I had to get away from him. You know what I mean? You know, older guy. You know what I mean? But you know, he survived it and all that. But
good for him. That's a lucky.
Yeah, you talking lightning. You know,
night. That's a rough one.
Yeah, but that was heavy. What happened at the White House?
Caught up with concert.
You know what I mean?
That was
especially when you said it looked like a hand. You know what I mean?
Yep. Caught up with concert. Caught up with con.
The Lord working on the earth.
Caught up with concert.
And he mainly working on America.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Edomites. Because they got a heat wave that was going over, killing people over in Europe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it ain't too much going on in South America. It ain't too much going on in Africa. But America and Europe is getting it. You know what I mean? It's getting it. Most High in Christ, they are getting it.
That's right.
Go ahead, brother.
Kind of a concert. But when Pharaoh did not even then yield to the will of God, but while he gave leave to the husbands to take their wives with them, yet insisted that the children should be left behind, God presently resolved to punish his wickedness with several sorts of calamities, and those worse than the foregone, which yet had so generally afflicted them, for their bodies had terrible boils.
Now, terrible boils.
Yikes.
What that look like?
Acne. Worse than acne.
Monkeypox.
Monkeypox.
Those boils are similar to the monkeypox.
Yikes. That's a rough one.
Like we gotta realize what the Lord is showing us. You know what I mean? Lord bringing it for our sake. Well, really for his name's sake. Yeah. But also for us to wake us up. You know what I mean? That the time is now at hand.
Yep, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Go ahead and read it out. Did it stick? Okay.
Yeah, it's to work. Salakia. For their bodies had terrible boils breaking forth with the blains, while they were already inwardly consumed, and a great part of the Egyptians perished in this manner.
Right.
Yeah, man. Keep reading. Right
so
here.
They still dying because of these plagues. He's slowly but surely, just like the plagues that's going on in America, people are dying from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's building them up. He's destroying their gods. Those gods, one of the gods is Kepri and what is it? I think it's Atum and Geb and Hathor. Hathor was the cow. God is destroying them by the things that they worship, by the insects and the animals that they worship. He's showing them that he's God. And those gods that they was worshiping, he's showing the Hebrews that those are not gods. That's why he always say, don't fear them and don't fear their gods. Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
You want me to start? Keep going right here.
Yeah, keep going there.
Keep going right here. But when the king was not brought to,
and we in the book of Josephus,
chapter 14.
Right. Okay. Page 61. So don't think that we coming from
this up, right?
Yeah, we making this up just so you can research. And this is the book of Josephus, the works of Josephus. Go ahead, brother.
But when the king was not brought to reason by this plague, hail was sent down from heaven, and such hail it was as the climate of Egypt had never suffered before, nor was it like to that which falls in other climates in wintertime.
Right. Yeah. He's saying it ain't like the regular hail that you normally see. This hail was doing damage. Okay. Read on.
But was larger than that which falls in the middle of spring to those that dwell in the northern and northwestern regions. This hail broke down their bowls laden with fruit.
Right. You talking about the hail was so big, it would break a orange tree. It was breaking all their fruit trees. The hail was so big. So that means when it hailed outside, you couldn't go out because it was too dangerous, and you would die if you go out there.
That's a rough one.
I can imagine you trying to go out and get your charger and be like, nah, man. you see the size of the hail? You know what I mean?
We're gonna see who phone better than iPhone and Android.
Right. You know what I mean? Like he was destroying it.
Wow.
Like we don't really look at what was happening in Egypt at that time. We don't really consider. We read it, but we don't put ourselves there.
Right.
Because if it was happening now and the hell was coming down, me and you would be stuck at the school. Everybody that's listening would be stuck and had to wait till that hell stopped. Go ahead.
That's crazy. After this, a tribe of locusts consumed the seed, which was not hurt by the hail, so that the Egyptians' all hopes of the future fruits of the ground were entirely lost.
So after the fruit trees went down, the Lord brought the locusts. Now you watching your food being destroyed.
Mm.
Now remember, the animals are dying and the people are dying.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean?
This why they say don't say it can't get no worse or it ain't something like that.
Right.
You say don't say that.
Right.
The Lord gonna show you it can be worse.
It can't. Right. And it's gonna get worse it's gonna get worse in America too.
It's a lot of you, sir. If I could
come on with it.
Like this right here. I know you said that he wasn't no prophet or nothing, but yeah, I mean he was a historian. Like these records,
an Israelite historian.
Right. Like these records are so heavy because not only it backs up the Bible, but like everybody that try to talk trash about the Bible, like these things are actual. If you don't want to believe in the Bible, like you can go look in African. If you put aside all of the dashikis,
right,
and that hat that they got y'all putting on, and look at their actual records, like they have records of these events taking place.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like
exactly.
this it just backs up the Bible even more to prove to people that this ain't no fairy tale book.
Exactly.
Like that's historical records that's in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what that is. Biblios.
Right. They got a stela that they found in Upper Egypt that had recorded the 7 years of famine. And I'm always bringing that out on Facebook and all that. But there's a lot of proof that the Israelites existed, and they still continue to find more stuff. And there's a lot of stuff in Egypt that I was watching a show where there's certain areas in the land of Avaris that the public is not allowed to go in.
I think I've seen something like that before.
You know what I mean? And in that land, they was talking about in the certain mineral mines, you got ancient Hebrew written on the walls in there. But they said that you can't, the government won't let you in there. And they've been hiding this stuff about us, for centuries. You know what I mean?
That's why it'd be okay to believe in everything. But the moment you try to say you a Jew, you try to say you the people that's spoken of in the Bible, you hate it for it automatically.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely. The Bible is one of the most hated books. You know what I mean? But it's also one of the main books that's all over the earth.
Yeah, it's the most bought and sold book in the world, not just America, in the world.
Just like our music.
Yep, kind of a concept.
Everything about us is the most.
Yeah,
everything about us, even our book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kind of a concept.
So, and a lot of cats be so mad, they be like, F Jesus and F your God, and and I'm like, man, that don't faze me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. That was the book of Romans is what you believe on.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You don't faze me.
Yeah.
A lot of the conscious community, some silly niggas, straight up. You know what I mean? They just, they just hate the Bible.
Yeah, Khan,
And
sir.
really, people hate the Bible because the Bible tell you how to live.
That's right.
You know, it commands you how to live.
That's right, sir.
And Negroes don't want to be commanded to do nothing that's going to benefit all of us.
Yeah.
Niggas want to get into stuff that's going to benefit themselves.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And we taught that from the white man. You know, we picked that up. Go ahead, brother.
Khan, sir. One would think the aforementioned calamities might have been sufficient for one that was only foolish, without wickedness, to make him wise and to make him sensible, what was for his advantage. But Pharaoh led not so much by his folly as by his wickedness. Even when he saw the cause of his miseries, he still contested with God and willfully deserted the cause of virtue. So he bid Moses take the Hebrews away with their wives and children, but to leave their cattle behind, since their own cattle were destroyed. But when Moses said that what he desired was unjust, since they were obliged to offer sacrifices to God of those cattle, and the time being prolonged on this account, a thick darkness without the least light spread itself over the Egyptians.
Now what he doing is one of their main deities, or their main god, is Ra.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ra ain't going to Ra, right? It's the sun. Right. Ra is not going to be shown. Right. He blocked him out. That was one of their main gods. That's why he brought that darkness.
Wow.
Okay.
The Lord meaning when he say no God sit with him.
Right.
Good night.
Right. And that's why he said all the gods of the heathen are nothing.
And Salagi too, sir. Like some people might consider it childish. I remember when I first heard it. I never considered it childish when I first heard it being in the truth. I looked at it as like, how am I to say it now? Like the Lord shut down America with a cough. Yeah, I mean he shut down the Egyptians' main god, Ra, the sun. He shut it down with a cloud, with condensation. He shut it down with a cloud. Right. He didn't even had to do no wild, nothing. He shut it down with frogs, lice, something that most people would think is just like a paper cut.
Right.
But until you overfill with them, then it's like, dang, like that's what you got really know you messing with. Like he ain't even gotta mess up the whole house. He just mess up your refrigerator and see how you get destroyed because you ain't got no food in the refrigerator.
Yeah, he can destroy you. He can destroy you with anything. Anything that's small. And the funny thing about it, especially with Pharaoh ain't recognizing God. Mm-hmm. He's recognizing as if Moses is doing these things. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Like that's what he's recognizing. He's looking at it like Moses is doing these tricks. Because they don't believe in one God.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the Lord is going down the list, destroying each god or a couple of gods. All the gods that was over the Nile turned the water into blood, made everything in there die, then made the water stink. Then drew the frogs out. The frogs brought the babies and slime and the stench and all that.
Yep.
Then he brought the lice. The lice was for the gods that they believed that was healing gods. You know what I mean?
The Lord getting them. Constant.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Me go ahead.
Go ahead, read on, brother.
Okay, constant. Whereby, Salagi, spread itself over the Egyptians, whereby their sight being obstructed and their breathing hindered by the thickness of the air.
Don't that sound like the COVID? They're breathing. Read that part again.
Whereby their sight being obstructed and their breathing hindered by the thickness of the air.
See, it wasn't just blocking it out. He brought something real thick. Mm-hmm. Like, can you imagine? This is how thick. Like people don't understand how dark it was. You couldn't see your hand.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
We don't look at it like that. Mm-hmm. Like we don't look at it being there. We'll read it, but imagine that you had 3 or 4 days you couldn't see your hand.
And you dealing with them other plagues.
Think about it.
Mm-mm.
And it's hard to breathe. So that means people were dying.
That's a rough one. That's a rough one right there. Damn.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Good read.
Good night. Come. They died miserably and under a terror lest they should be swallowed up by the dark cloud. Besides this, with darkness after 3 days, and as many nights was dissipated. And when Pharaoh did not still repent and let the Hebrews go, Moses came to him and said, how long will thou be disobedient to the command of God? For he enjoins thee to let the Hebrews go, nor is there any other way of being freed from the calamities you are under, unless you do so. But the king was angry at what he said and threatened to cut off his head if he came any more to trouble him about these matters. Hereupon Moses said he would not speak to him any more about them, for that he himself, together with the principal men among the Egyptians, should desire the Hebrews to go away. So when Moses had said this, he went his way. But when God had signified that when one more plague he would compel the Egyptians to let the Hebrews go, he commanded Moses to tell the people that they should have a sacrifice ready, and that they should prepare themselves on the 10th day of the month Xenacus against the 14th. Salagi. And that he should carry away the Hebrews with all they said. Accordingly, he having got with all they had. Salagi. Accordingly, he having got the Hebrews ready for the departure, and having sorted the people into tribes, he kept them together in one place.
And basically, the Lord said, "Oh, he about to release y'all. This next one, you go ahead and get ready to leave."
Right, he going.
I done broke him. I done broke his magicians. I done broke all his wise men. His wise men, they coming to Pharaoh. Let him go. Let him go. He said, "This last one, just go ahead and start packing." You know what I mean? That's what the Lord. So Moses is going to get the
black of him.
Right. Moses is going around. Yo, don't worry about it. Start packing.
Yeah.
Yo, you from the tribe of Ephraim. I want Ephraim over there. You from the tribe of Judah over there. Y'all start packing.
Yeah.
Get ready.
That's heavy, man.
Go ahead.
Good night. Salagia. He kept them together in one place, but when the 14th day was come and all were ready to depart, they offered the sacrifice and purified their houses with the blood, using bunches of hyssop for that purpose. And when they had sucked, they burnt the remainder of the flesh as just ready to depart. Whence it is that we do still offer this sacrifice in like manner to this day, and call this festival Pascha, which signifies the feast of the Passover.
Right.
Because on that day, God passed us over and sent the plague upon the Egyptians. For the destruction of the firstborn came upon the Egyptians that night.
Meaning this, that last god that the Lord was destroying was Pharaoh and his son. Because Pharaoh, to the Egyptians, he's the mediator, and they say, well, in their religion, he was born of the gods, and he was the one that made sure that everybody sacrificed to those gods. That's why he was, that was one of his titles or jobs or functions as a pharaoh.
I was like the grand finale.
So he's a god. That's why when brothers run around in America be talking about, they gods and goddesses, Pharaoh would have cut their heads off because that's sedition. Pharaoh ain't gonna let, if Pharaoh is God and he's saying the other gods who we sacrificing, and you run around talking about y'all gods and goddess, back in them days, Pharaoh would have put all them Negroes to death.
Sir. The way you just explained that, I promise to this day, up until now, I used to question it, but I never actually asked it in class. But like, why Like, what was so important about the firstborn? And now that you didn't broke it down that way of Pharaoh being like a god and that he was born of the gods, the way that history tells it when it comes to any kingdom that's had a rulership is that their sons are the next on the throne. They the next on the throne. They the next up going. So the Lord destroying their firstborns is like saying, ain't none of y'all on the throne. Ain't none of y'all is, like that is, I never even knew that.
You ain't no God and your son ain't gonna be no God.
That's tough. Good night, Salagi. That's tough.
I mean? That's
I never even thought of that.
That's what the Lord was doing in all this. Yeah. At the same time, he freeing our people, not only from the Egyptians, but under the mindset of how the Egyptians had some of the Israelites following their gods. So by this time, Israelites is like, yo, they believing in the God of Moses. Yeah. And Moses said, yo, your people gonna ask me, they're gonna ask me, what's your name? Right. You know what I mean? And he said, I am, and Moses knew it. Like, if you can bring all these plagues, he knew that the Lord was, matter of fact, give me Exodus 4 and 22.
Kind of a concept. The book of Exodus, chapter 4, verse 22. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn.
Keep reading.
And I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn.
Right.
That's heavy.
Yeah, let me give you another one real quick.
That's heavy.
God.
Good night.
Give me Exodus 12 and Exodus 12 and 12.
Okay. The book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt.
And against who?
Against all the gods of Egypt. I will execute judgment. I am the Lord.
Right. All those fake gods that they thought that was gods, God destroyed it to prove them that they wasn't gods. Okay. That was the purpose. The Lord did a number on Egypt. The Lord destroyed their gods and the people and Pharaoh's house. Like, you got to realize, like, imagine if the firstborn was dead. You would hear ambulance all over the place, fire trucks, police driving. All of a sudden, he crashed because he was the firstborn. You know what I mean? Somebody in the airplane, you know what I mean? A pilot, firstborn, drop. I mean, you got to look at what was going on. They was dropping that night. They were screaming, crying.
I was thinking of the firstborns that were just being born. That it was just being born. We talking about the firstborns, period. Meaning
firstborn of everybody.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Right.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. If your animal was the firstborn, it's dying.
Sheesh.
If your sister is the firstborn, she dying. If you the firstborn, you dying. That's how he was killing them. That was like that was the Lord slaughtering them for us, to free us. You know what I mean? And they're gonna have another slaughter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give me that in Jeremiah.
You talking about prepared slaughter? You talking about what in Jeremiah?
The one Jeremiah and getting a little old
I
now.
think I know what you're talking about.
12.
No,
not 12. 16.
Okay.
16, I think 14.
Mm-hmm.
Bear with me, y'all. I'm getting a little old. Memory getting shot.
You to what? 14 and 12?
16 and 12.
16 and 12.
16 and 12, 14 and 12.
Let me see.
Where it says no more, it should no more be said. You might know where it's at.
Was in the fathers where you want. No, not 16. I think it might be 14. Let me see, 14 to 12. Nah, it wasn't them either. Hold on, let me pull it up. I think I know what you're talking about. Hold on 1 second.
Man, I used to know that like the back of my hand.
Jeremiah 16 and 14.
16 and 14.
2 verses down. Cut it because, sir.
I was going to say.
It says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
Right. You know what I mean? Go ahead. Meaning these plagues. So he's plaguing America now. Go ahead, read on.
But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north,
Right.
and from all the lands whither he had driven them. And I will bring them again into their land that I gave them, that I gave unto their fathers.
Right. That's right. And he's
so.
bringing plagues on America.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
America getting plagued with them fires. Them fires. When I was a kid, it wasn't like that with them fires in California. Let me tell you right now. It wasn't like that.
Right.
A lot of floods wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Like these things are increasing and increasing and increasing. The biggest thing that hit us was the AIDS epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest thing. But when the COVID hit, that actually was something like new and big. Even in my time, when the COVID hit, that was something big. That was something that I had to look at and say, damn, it's a lot of people dying from this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's so wicked too what you're saying. So it, like, in the sense of this, like the Christian church really like make us like look past what's going on the earth. Like all these things happening, from these school shootings to these, to these plagues, to these viruses and diseases that's coming out, these wildfires that's coming out. Like black people really got to pause themselves and look like, damn, which way do I go? My children can't go to school. I can't go to the grocery store. I need groceries. Can't go to the grocery store to get groceries. I can't go outside without getting struck by lightning. You know what I mean?
It's something heavy you said that the Christian church, they make us overlook. They make our people overlook that is the hand of God. And if you say it's the hand of God as a Christian, Christians will, come up against you and persecute you.
Yep.
That's real heavy, because they are the ones that's supposed to be about God and supposed to see what God is doing. You know what I mean? They supposed to be in charge. Yeah. You a brother in the hood. You ain't supposed to be in charge. But here it is. The Lord done raised us up to go out there and tell the people. Because they ain't going to do the job. And the Lord called you to do the job because they ain't doing the job. Like our job is real heavy. A lot of brothers, you may take it lightly, but I love camps. People don't see what we see at camp. This is a whole different experience at camp. You see your people for who they are. An Israelite that's talking, I hate to divert, but I got to. The brothers and sisters that are against camp, they don't know what the F what they really talking about.
Right. Yeah.
One of the best experience in my entire life is my life going to camp. It's the best experience. I get to really see the spirit of my people in rare form on how they react to God, how they react to the white man, how they react to drugs. Yeah. An Israelite talk about he don't like camps. He's a punk nigga, straight up. Yeah. He don't have no understanding of the Bible. He don't have the Holy Spirit on him. Right. He's just a carnal nigga and a scared nigga. Yeah. Straight up. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these brothers are always talking against camps, but I love them. Yeah. I love the camp. Yeah. The camp is what you made of. And the Lord start to show you things. You start to see things.
Real spiritual warfare right there.
Yeah. And then you see the generals, how they battle. I'm a dude that like to battle anyway. I don't know about anybody else, but I kind of like battling.
That's the U.P.K.
It's right. It's, you know what I mean? I love the warfare. And I be looking at brothers. I saw a picture of, I don't know what camp it was. And I saw their face. And they showed it while they was driving. And there was 3 brothers, U.P.K. brothers. And damn, I don't know what camp they was going. And they was like this. And I remember that going up to Philly. Brothers just sitting in the car, ready to go up and blaze Philly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I remember that going up to Baltimore. I remember going to DC camp.
Mm-hmm.
You steadily in a zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially with DC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to run off a topic, Salakia.
It's needed.
But Barack get me
all.
all hype.
You might get a cat,
You know what I mean?
What's
You know what I mean? I mean, it's just
It's like crazy.
you know, you battle everything at camp.
God, sir.
Everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
That's it.
thank God for, you know, the I.S.U.P.K, Commander General YAHANNA. You know what I mean? Most High and Christ. You know, especially Commander General YAHANNA and his generals above me.
Mm-hmm.
That's you know what I mean. That's them generals taught me all about this camp thing.
That's right. That's where kind of
All right.
Yeah, man. Let me see what we got.
All right.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
Okay, we got a little bit more time.
Come.
Let me get the rest of this.
Okay. Come. Let me take it back over here. I'm gonna find my space. Right here. Right. So it says, because on that day God passed us over and sent the plague upon the Egyptians, for the destruction of the firstborn came upon the Egyptians that night, so that many of the Egyptians who lived near the king's palace persuaded Pharaoh to let the Hebrews go. Accordingly, he called for Moses and bid them be gone.
By that time, he's like, get the hell. He said, be gone. Get up out of here.
And if I may, like, America's, like, it's so, like, reading this right here and just the ways you breaking it down, sir, it's so spiritually Egypt, like how the Bible say about Sodom and Egypt, is like when they say the people that was close to the palace, the people that's close to the palace are what? People that rich folk.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like them the politicians of Egypt, the ones that living close to the Pharaoh, them the politicians of Egypt, and they like, man, let these people go. And that's the same thing with America here. Like the people that's close to rulership or close to power, in the essence, I'll say.
Yeah, the president, his advisors, the House.
That's the same politicians that's gonna be in his ear. Yeah, I mean, while they trying to go fight against Christ and them 200 million angels, they're gonna be like, listen, man, we losing.
Right.
We losing, man. I got a baby girl back at home.
Right. And the white man is most proud. He ain't thinking like that Hamite, like Pharaoh.
Yeah.
At least Pharaoh said, yo, man, be gone. Don't worry about it. Be gone. But Pharaoh retracted later on. But, you know what I mean? But he did come to his senses and realize he can't fight this thing that Moses is doing. I got to get Moses to make it stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Each time I got to call Moses. Mm-hmm. Finally, he said, be gone. But America ain't going to do that. They, like you said, they're going to fight. They're going to try to fight.
Yep. That's up in the
They gonna, it's all through the Bible. They're going to try to fight.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Kind of concert.
Sure.
It's so arrogant. You know what I mean? Like and what Pharaoh, what Moses was asking for was something small. He wasn't like niggas today that's asking for reparations.
Right.
Moses said, just let us go, man. Just let me walk down the street. Don't Jim Crow me.
Right.
Let me walk down the street and be with my peoples for a second or two. You know what I mean? Just for 3 days, just for a couple of days.
Yeah.
America's so arrogant. They like, nah, man. When COVID comes and the Lord is sending plagues on us, y'all still gonna work. So through us suffering in our kingdom, y'all gonna be the AKA the essential workers. Right. Y'all still gonna work. Right. You know what I mean? Like Esau is so arrogant. They definitely just
we keep America going.
Beast, man.
We keep America going.
Concert.
That's really what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there was black people driving the buses, the trains.
Yep.
There was black people up in them hospitals.
Through the COVID.
Yeah, all through it.
Through it.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was even black drivers.
Yep.
Delivering, the mailman, all of them was still working. Mm-hmm. And they were still catching it.
Yep.
They were still catching it.
Yep.
You know? A few people quit, but
and I can imagine how it was for us in Egypt, because even in these plagues that the Lord is sending on America, like it's so bad. Like when COVID came, I can tell I'm an eyewitness of it, being at this slavery. I'm talking about the levels of security I don't work. Right. I don't work, high level security, and it's and down from the highest slavery that pay you good down to the lowest slavery that don't pay you too much. Like
Right.
there was every job. There's not a job. Anybody that's on the live stream and any of us that can attest to it, there's not one place that there wasn't somebody there that got COVID that was Black or Latino that got COVID, but purposely would not say nothing because they knew they had bills to pay.
Yeah.
That purposely would not say something. So when you talk about the plagues that was going on in Egypt,
right,
and like I could imagine that the brothers and sisters that had to continue being oppressed in Egypt because Pharaoh wouldn't let them go. Yeah, I mean, we continue having to be oppressed in America because you understand,
right,
like being under this captivity.
Like June 19th, wouldn't let him go. You know, wouldn't let him go. So
that's so heavy, man.
Yeah.
That's so heavy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's a lot.
Go ahead, finish this last part.
I believe that would be chapter 15, right?
Yeah, I'm just going here, then here, probably.
All right. So chapter 15, how the Hebrews under the conduct of Moses left Egypt. So the Hebrews went out of Egypt while the Egyptians wept and repented that they had treated them so hardly. Now they took their journey by Letopolis,
right,
a place at that time deserted, but where Babylon was built afterwards, when Camses laid Egypt waste.
right.
But as they went away hastily, on the third day they came to a place called Baal-Zephon on the Red Sea. And when they had no food out of the land because it was a desert.
Oh, we going too far.
Where you want?
Where we at here?
That was chapter 15.
Not here.
Okay, come.
Salakia, brother.
No sweat, sir.
This he get ready to read is before the desert.
Okay, come. These large presents made to the Israelites of vessels of silver and vessels of gold and raiment were, as Josephus truly calls them, gifts really given them, not lent them, as our English falsely renders them. They were spoils required, not borrowed of them.
Meaning this, when they was leaving out of Egypt and they went to the Egyptians, and was like, yo, pressing them, yo, for all that labor, give me that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get paid. Give me that.
Mm-hmm.
The Egyptians was broken. They were scared to fight, and they just handed it over to them.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It ain't like we said, well, let me hold this gold.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like that.
It was like, yo,
it was like, yo, where that gold at
mm-hmm.
that you made off of my back?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I want that.
Yeah,
that's what they was doing to the Egyptians.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
As the same, Sluggy.
And you know how Judites do anyway, and Ephraimites.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They gonna, they like to oppress, not oppress, but press somebody. You know what I mean? But then on this one, it was more of a righteous thing. It would be the same way if we was leaving America and the white race was scared and tired of us and wanted us to go. You're gonna take what you want from them. Because they broke it.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't work for it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're not stealing it. You just telling them to take this. And the Lord wanted us to take it.
Yeah.
The Lord wanted us to spoil them. That's the difference. The Lord wanted us to spoil them. We didn't do it on our own. The Lord had all this, and that's how we was able to leave with wealth.
That's how accountable God, sir. And it says, as the version falsely renders the Hebrew word here used, God had ordered the Jews to demand these as their pay and reward.
What who?
As their pay and reward.
Who?
So like awarded, so like ordered.
Who ordered?
God ordered the Jews to demand these as their pay and reward during their long and bitter slavery in Egypt, as atonements for the lives of the Egyptians, as the condition of the Jews' departure and of the Egyptians' deliverance from these terrible judgments,
right.
which had they not now ceased, they had soon been all dead men, as they themselves confess. Nor was there any sense in borrowing or lending when the Israelites were finally departing out of the land forever.
Right. Basically, what he's saying was no sense of that. But they have it written in here. You know what I mean? But what happened was the Lord told him, yo, go get that from him. Demand that from him. Give me Exodus 2, and this is why. Give me Exodus 2 and 22.
Okay. The book of Exodus, chapter 2, verse 22. And she bare him a son. He called his name Jeshurun.
22?
2 and
Exodus,
22?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Exodus 2 and 22.
Exodus 2 and 22.
Yeah, 2. Exodus 2.
You got
22. She bare him a son.
What you read?
Exodus 3. Exodus chapter 3, verse.
This 3?
Yeah, that's Exodus chapter.
That's chapter 2, bro.
I don't know what's going on. Let me see where you went.
Yeah, 22.
In verse what? 22?
Yeah.
Or
You right here.
Yeah, I was right here. And she bare him a son. That's right there. And she bare him a son.
No, it ain't.
Verse 22, and she bare him a son.
Oh, my fault.
You want 23. Salaki. And it came to pass. Now that's me, sir. And it came to
that's
pass.
me.
And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came upon God by reason of the bondage. Came up unto God by reason of bondage.
Keep reading.
And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them.
That's why the Lord had them spoil the Egyptians. Mm-hmm. He remembered their groaning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Give me Jeremiah chapter 30 and I think it's 16.
16. Let me get it for you. The book of Jeremiah,
chapter
30, verse 16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured.
Right. Matter of fact, go up one.
Verse 15. Why criest thou for thine affliction?
Like right now, we crying because of our affliction. The Lord heard it just like they heard it in Egypt.
Right.
Go ahead.
Thy sorrow is incurable
right.
For the multitude of thine iniquity.
Meaning we can't heal all this affliction and oppression. Mm-hmm. It's incurable. Mm-hmm. All our leaders don't know what to do. Right. They don't know. They don't have an idea how to fix black people, how to get black people out of the condition. Right. Except for Commander General YAHANNA. That's right. And the U.P.K. That's right. Life is a whole lot better. Yeah. But this is for the rest of our people that's going through hell, and we all still going through some hell. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Because thy sins were increased, I have done these things unto thee. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured.
Right. We're going to devour the Asians, the Africans, all the Europeans. You know what I mean? We're going to devour them. They devoured us. Yeah. Read on.
Countable. And all thine adversaries,
and
every
all
one of them.
Our adversaries. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All of them. We're going to pay them back when the Lord free us up from America.
Yes, right.
Go ahead.
Every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and they that prey upon thee will I give for a prey.
So that lets you know that you ain't just doing this, and not getting the payment back.
Yeah.
Like the Lord, he gonna require judgment on these other nations, but he gonna require us to start to change.
Yeah.
And as we start to change and we get up into the kingdom, it comes with a crown. Mm-hmm. Now I can't force a crown on no man's head, but in the I.S.U.P.K. under Commander General YAHANNA, at least I got the chance to obtain it. And any other man that walks through that door,
that's right.
You got a chance to get a crown on your head. Like that's what we shooting for. Like I'd rather shoot for a crown on my head than black economics in America. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'd rather run the world, you know what I mean, than to worry about some black economics. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with making money. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But for my prize and my goal is that I would love to be, sitting with that 144,000
Oh my gosh.
running things. You know what I mean?
We thinking of the short term and the long term goal.
Right. We'll pick that up too. You know what I mean? That black economics. But a lot of people, that's all they know, and they think that's all it is.
It's a lot of it too, sir.
You know?
What you had just said right there, like it reminded me, I said it a while back, like Martin Luther King, man. And of course, I don't mean to deviate too much away.
No, go ahead, brother.
But with Martin Luther King and his dream, like everybody that want to stand for his dream and what he has said and all of that foolishness, like Martin Luther King's dream limited you.
Right.
It limited you from thinking that your sons and daughters could be ruling this earth, could be, an authority on here. Right. It made it stop at being, the executive busboy. Yeah, I mean,
right.
The executive,
right.
The executive target employee.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't nothing that thought past being over your oppressor.
Right.
It was
ownership.
It wasn't nothing of actual ownership. That's why now you got black people that think they're boss because they got their own business. Whereas you still have to pay taxes. You still have land that you don't own that land. You still have to do all of these things that show that you're not really a boss. Right. Martin Luther King gave this fake ideology that you can be a boss. Right. And you're not a boss in America. No matter, you guys say you're not a boss.
Right. Right. Stop that. Exactly. And if you can't be a boss, he said, be the best, such and such that you could be. You know what I mean? In other words, be the best slave you could be. You know what I mean? So you right on that, man. And another thing with that black economics, I ain't really knocking it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm not knocking it. But black economics for the brothers and sisters in the world, they usually some slimy people.
Forget about it.
They about making themselves rich. Like I don't understand how you gonna pay somebody that's gonna. I don't understand this about how would I pay somebody that's gonna lecture me on making some money?
While you losing money,
right? I'm gonna give him some money, and he gonna teach me how to make some money. That don't make no sense. Mm-hmm. That ain't how businesses start. Everybody else start your own business with your own idea. Mm-hmm. I don't need you to come up with some, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If I want to become a realtor, I'm gonna go get my license and become a realtor. Right. I don't need somebody to tell me how to flip no houses. I know how to flip a house. I know what area to go to flip houses. Mm-hmm. Anybody know it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a lot of things that black people, they see white people do, and they try to get rich off of what white people do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if I'm like, you see a black man, he'll go to a lecture, pay a white man, and then he'll turn around, take that same lecture, and just start selling it. Mm-hmm. The same exact. I had dudes come up to me. Dudes I done did some work for, they start telling me this. And I'm like, yo, listen, man, I don't need that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't need that. Yeah. Trying to sell me, their idea.
Right. They about to go viral.
Like, why don't you do it?
Right.
Don't sell me how I should do it.
They try to live their dream through you.
Yeah, so you got to be careful of black economics. You know what I mean? Yeah, go ahead. You know what I mean? So back on topic, the Lord was destroying all the gods of Egypt. That's what those plagues was about. Them plagues was particularly to break Pharaoh, to break the economy of Pharaoh, and break us from worshiping those gods in Egypt. All of those plagues, they represented a god. And a lot during them being plagued, according to Josephus, they were dying in those plagues. Like the darkness he brought, it was like a thick darkness that they were suffocating, and some people were dying from it. So this is what the 10 plagues was about. You know what I mean? All right. So I'm gonna wait for my reader. Give me a minute. You know what I mean? So So we got to understand that's the whole thing about freeing the children of Israel. Children of Israel was being freed up through those plagues, and those gods was being destroyed. And a lot of Kemet and the conscious community try to tell you that those was concepts. That's a goddamn lie. You research them, all those was gods that they was represented by idols. So it's crazy what they be trying to teach people, running around telling you that they gods and goddess of the earth. Meanwhile, they'll pull the scripture out from Psalms 80, 82 and 6 to prove that they're gods. They're going to use my book. Let me read that Psalms 82, verse 6. Yeah. You can go ahead. No problem, brother.
Yes, sir.
82, verse 6.
The book of Psalms, chapter 82, verse 6. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
Right. They always say that first part. Read that again. This is what the Kemites do. It says that we are gods. Read.
I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
Right. They use that, but it's talking about the children of the Most High who are Israelites. Mm-hmm. Let me get another scripture. Give me Ezekiel 28. Look for, you got 28?
28.
Yeah, Ezekiel 28.
Hold on, put it up right now. All right, 28.
I'm looking for
verse 2. Look, hold on. No, let's see verse.
No, I'm looking for it says that you should 9.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 28, verse 9. Wilt thou yet say before him that slaved thee, I am God?
Right. Like we dying in America, and then you got the conscious community running around and knowing that we dying, running around saying we gods. Let's read that again.
Wilt thou yet say before him that slaved thee, I am God?
Right. Like how you a God, and the Lord slaying you. You ain't no God.
Yep. Kind of a God.
You running around trying to act like life is sweet, and you trying to push a lie. To make women join. That's why they always say they goddess, or they, a woman is God. All that garbage. That all those religions in America is garbage.
Right.
And the funny thing about it is Africans don't even follow that garbage, that foolishness. Africans do not follow anything about Kemet. If you ask an African, he's gonna say, what are you talking about? The Egyptians worship everything and anything.
Yep.
Such nonsense, man.
Oh, God, sir.
Such nonsense. You can throw a song on Israel. We about out, right? Yeah, I'm gonna close it up.
Kind of a God, sir.
You can throw a song on up.
Okay, kind of a God. Let me get this up.
All right, this is Let the Hebrew Speak under Commander General YAHANNA. Tonight, Black Watch. Also, we got the barbecue coming up on the 26th. Am I correct? Or the 27th? From the 27th to the 29th? The barbecue up in New York, Harlem, New York. All right, that's the next one. That's coming up this month. All right, we got Black Watch News tonight at 9. We got Scripture Breakdown. All right, more than likely with General Muhammad. All right. Hey, Shalom, Israel.
Any man give his life for Yahweh Shai, Mashiach, and Christ, and fall up under that U.P.K banner. It's my brother and my blood, and I will die and kill for him if necessary. It's all about that warfare, boy. Back up. like my wife, she concealed, she modest. I know two things.